Ready to get all experimental? And by experiment, I mean, I put an angled headset on the Kona Honzo Extra Slack Dude. You probably thought I meant I made it slacker, didn't you? I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. I just so happen to have a Works Components angled headset. It was a 1.5 degree angled headset. I put it on the Honzo ESD in reverse and committed the heresy of making the Extra Slack Dude 1.5 degrees steeper. If you don't know what the Honzo ESD is, it stands for Extra Slack Dude. This is one of the most insane bikes that Kona has ever put together. This size medium comes in at a whopping 465 millimeter reach and an astronomical 63 degree head tube angle. The thing is a cinder. It is a still is real hardtail that is fitting for the bike park. Now, as big a fan as I am of the ESD in its stock configuration, curiosity eventually got the best of me. I decided that I would throw on the Works Components angled headset and make this thing 1.5 degrees steeper. I wanted to see if I would lose out on the awesomeness of the ESD by making it just a little bit less radical. Now, on paper, that brings me to a 64.5 degree head tube angle, which is still off the charts progressive for a hardtail. Part of the reason I wanted to make these modifications is that for me, this is a second bike. I've been running 2020 Santa Cruz High Tower. I recently upgraded to a 2021 Santa Cruz Mega Tower, which, if you don't know, is a long-legged 29er full suspension. For me, if I'm gonna go to the bike park or do super big days in really rough terrain, I'm gonna be taking that bike. But again, I wanted to see if I could just quicken things up a little bit, take a little of the edge off, because after riding this bike for over a month before I made these mods, I did notice that it would plow going downhill. It was a good jumper, but it didn't feel like it had quite the pop that I wanted it to have with jumping. The thing was really good at just straight lining and bombing downhill. I felt like I could go as fast as I've ever been on a hardtail going downhill in its stock setup. But turning was just a little bit sluggish. Again, not quite as poppy as I wanted it to be. Now, along with the angled headset, as you may have noticed, I'm running a different fork than what this bike comes with stock. The Marzocchi Bomber is a legit fork. It feels a lot like a Fox 36, but I had at my disposal this really nice Pike Ultimate. In the pursuit of making this bike as snappy as possible, I knew that this was a lighter fork. It was at 140 mil travel. And so along with the angled headset, I also put on a 140 mil travel fork. That effectively had my head tube angle then sitting at about 65 degrees. I did those two modifications at the same time. On my first trail ride, I really liked the setup. I could tell that I was not going to be disappointed with steepening the head tube angle, but I did feel like the front end was riding lower than what I liked. I was surprised by that because when you take the head tube angle and you steepen it, that raises the front end. But I can tell you that that raising of the front end because of the angled headset was not enough for me to counteract the height reduction in going to that shorter travel fork. But I could definitely tell that the handling was better and it was a much snappier feeling bike. And so I had yet to upgrade this Pike fork to the new 2021 Debonair air spring, so I took that occasion to actually get a 150 mil spring, and so I bumped this thing back up to 150, so now that brought me back down to roughly a 64.5 degree head tube angle, back at a 150 travel fork, and I can tell you for me, that is the sweet spot. As soon as I hit the trail with the Pike fork sitting at 150, still with the angled headset, again, looking at roughly a 64.5 degree head tube angle, it just felt dialed. I have a couple of berms at my local jump line. They're back-to-back berms. I felt like I was snapping the bike around in those berms so much better than I did in the stock configuration on this bike. And going into the jump faces and getting the pop off in the lip of those jumps just felt noticeably better to me. I feel like I can get underneath the bike to get good pop. And those are the two key things that I was hoping to glean from these changes. I would certainly admit to you if the changes were garbage because I would not want you to make the same mistake, but I can tell you for me, especially running this as a second bike, I like this setup a lot. Again, some may be put out with the fact that I took what was meant to be just the most aggressive hardtail and made it slightly less aggressive. But I can tell you, you can still run into some crazy crap on the trail with this setup. I'm even looking at putting a lighter weight set of wheels with a set of tires that actually roll faster. This Maxxis Assegai is legit. It grips so well, but you definitely notice some increased rolling resistance with it. So I'm probably going to be eventually ending up with something like a DHR2 for the front, which in my opinion rolls noticeably faster. And I'm also very soon going to be throwing on a set of 1UP carbon bars just to be able to help with more vibration damping and hoping to lighten the bike up even more. So if you have a Honzo ESD or you just have another bike and you're looking to make some changes, I do recommend the Works Components angled headset. Just as a way of experimentation, you can get a degree angled headset if you got this bike and you just feel like it's way too burly for your local trails, but you're like me, you love the look of the bike, you love the super low standover height. These bikes are so awesome because you can slam the seat so far down. You like the longer reach, but you just feel like it's a little bit too sluggish. Consider tweaking the head tube angle. It shortens the wheelbase slightly. It brings the front tire underneath you slightly to really help with cornering and to really help you get better pop with bunny hopping and most importantly, jumping. So again, just wanted to touch base, give you an update on the Honzo ESD. Hope you found this helpful. Stay tuned for the review of the 1UP carbon bars that I'm going to be soon putting on this thing. And as always, thanks for watching.